What's happening, sports fans? I promise you, despite the fact that I'm wearing the exact same outfit as Olympian interview, this is filmed on a different day. We're not doubling up on any of this. Christian Pedersen. Over here, we got Colton Tull. This is where you talk.
Hello, sports fans.
Hola, sports fans. Hola, amigos de deportes. Colton and I are back with our continuing series of off-season prep discussions, whatever you want to call it. These are not watch lists. These are not rankings. These are refresher. These are intro courses. This is defensive backfield 101. We have a quarterbacks version of this. We have a running backs version of this. Go check that out. I did a D5 preview of that. Go check that out. This is us talking, but then also opening up the dialogue for you guys, that if you guys out there have stuff or players that you want to talk about, include it in the comment section on all these videos so that we, as the year goes on, can pay attention to that and get a look at it.
Let us know.
Defensive secondary. We felt like as a show, it's a little bit easier for us to do defense a little more grouped than the offense. You know, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs are all pretty well individually cataloged groups. The difference between a corner and a free safety versus a strong safety versus a nickel back, there's not enough stats necessarily at the high school level to be like, here's our cornerbacks episode, because you don't have that percentage of throws versus completion. Like, it's not broken down. So look, we're gonna do our best, but there's also some of this that, like, you could have guys out there that are lockdown corners that didn't get a single interception last year, so we might just not get it. So we need your help, San Diego, getting that right. Let's start, though, with something that Colton was saying before we got on air here. And you said, how's Francis Parker got so many beast defensive backs?
Yeah.
I got a theory on that, but I'm curious your theory and who you were highlighting there, Colton.
Chris White, Christopher Williams, Francis Parker, little cornerback duo.
Christopher Williams is tied for the most returnings of all the interceptions.
Most return yards,
obviously? Of all the players returning, he's tied for the most interceptions. A kid at Eastlake led this county last year. He has graduated since then. So Chris Williams, 6 interceptions last year. That's what's up.
That's how we
keep going.
Yeah, that's great by him. 6 interceptions at the high school level is great. It just depends on the teams that are always throwing. So to rack up that many, it's just a true ball hog. Just shows the amount of athleticism he has on his side.
I'll bring up the tide for the most interceptions coming back next year is Hewitt Watkins from the Bishop's School. He will be a senior this year. So recognizing a trend, at least, of small schools. We're looking up and down this top. We got some Country Day. We got some
Skylar Cook out of Central.
We got Skylar Cook out of Central. We got Seth Shaw out of Imperial. I don't know what to make out of that, because sometimes that can also be who's throwing it to them. But it certainly seems like the interceptions are grouped in a certain area, if you will. Who are some other players in that defensive secondary list that you were looking at?
One of the biggest names is Marcus Ratcliffe out of Cathedral. He's an SDSU commit. He's 6'3". The kid's huge. Playing DB, mainly safety. Absolute just menace out there. He's going to lay people out. He's a force. Big kid. You can't throw over him. You can't run past him. It's just someone that can lock down your secondary. That's great for Cathedral to
have. Size in the secondary can be a double-edged sword, because sometimes a 6'3" safety can get beat, and I say that with air quotes as I need to transition back here. Can get beat by a small guy.
Yeah.
Can get beat by a 5'8" receiver who can go through the underneath. But when you can combine speed and size with just a skosh of coordination,
with how athletic receivers are, it's so good to have that. You have receivers with just insane verts, and they're already like 6'2", 6'3" to start with, jumping over most DBs. Because, you think DB, you're probably thinking like a 5'10", 6-foot guy, and this guy's 6'3" in the back, so it's just crazy.
So looking up and down at some of this as we continue, I think that The other metric that I was looking at is a lot of who just didn't allow points last year. Lincoln had a pair of great DBs in Jaleel and Jaleel, and obviously they're at Oregon now. They're doing great. You got to assume, though, that they're going to have they're going to have dudes, absolute dogs, like filling those
It's a
roles.
rotation.
So, hit us up, Lincoln. Let us know who you guys got taking over, as I have somehow broken Colton's camera. So let's see if we can filibuster and reload. But as a team defense, maybe, Colton, was there one or two that, independent of just like, oh, that DB or that DB, but just as a team defense that you're like, they're going to have some guys. I'm just curious to see who's going to rise to the top.
A little bit of home, but, Mount Carmel's defense was insane last year. Obviously, they graduated a lot of guys. Jaden Virgin's gone.
Why did you say a little bit of a homer? You hypothetically
That's my
coached
guy.
that. You hypothetically Wesley.
That's my guy.
Okay,
Coach Zavala, Coach Raymond, those are all my guys. But they had one of the coach the defense coordinator, Coach Lee Deontay. He's insane. But you got to see graduating a guy like Virgin, like how they're going to replace that. You got to see like who they're going to come out with this year to replace him, and not just him, but a lot of guys that graduated. Defense did not let up a lot of points. I watched them in person. They're nice. It's interesting to see who they come out with. I know Ron Piercy is a DB over there that's really good. They got guys.
I want to throw out into the Holtville direction, just because it's nice to give a Holtville shout out now as much as we can early this season, as they are defending champs and coming back. Xavier Gonzalez Pinon, a junior DB last year for them. He had, where are we at? As I lost the stats, he had like 100-something tackles. He was close to the 100 tackles last year. My goodness, I am awful at opening new tabs and new windows on this. Give me a second. Where are we at now? Yeah, 113 tackles last year
at DB.
At DB.
That's great.
Is either your front seven is getting blown by, or you're just a menace.
You find the ball and you go.
Well, and that's where one of those ones, you're the primary dude. You're the guy who's always locking down everybody's biggest guy, and that's, to me, that's fun to watch sometimes, is when you're like, man, how are we calling that guy's number again? Adrian,
From Lincoln?
No, Adrian Shargaloof.
Yeah.
Is a Steel Canyon player.
Okay.
Unless he has transferred to Lincoln since.
I think he might have transferred.
Well, Adrian Shargaloof, just somebody that I will point out, was the other guy, other returning player in the defensive secondary, who is above 100 tackles last year. 100 tackles is a lot. 100 tackles is.
That's what you expect from your middle linebacker.
Well, and that's what most of the tackle leaders in San Diego section were last year. Is linebacker, D end, linebacker, nose guard, defensive back with Pinon, linebacker, like. Not saying that 86 tackles isn't significant. It's just that 100 tackles is freaking massive. So you love seeing that. Just going down the list a little bit further, we've got, it's crazy. I love tackles. Everyone loves tackles, but I love tackles because to me, interceptions are a hard one.
It's very hard to gauge how you value interceptions.
Because you can first off say the cliche of that's why they're a DB when they drop it. So I think that maybe the most valuable stat should be dropped potential interceptions, because those are the dudes that are getting themselves in position to make it. They just might have made a little boo-boo of like, they got steel hands. And you're like, all right, oops. But you're like, great. Austin Martin from Orange Glen, strong safety, who's going to be a senior this year. 88 tackles for him last year. Definitely going to want to keep an eye on him.
The modern day duo. You got Chris Snyder Jr. down there, Isaiah Buxton. You know what they're going to do.
I want to know. I want to know what it is like.
DJ Overstreet.
I want to know what it's like in the modern day. Intern, you good? Do you let the intern out? We've finally released the intern from her prison. She'll be back in like 2 minutes. I left that on you. My apologies. I want to know what it's like in the modern day defensive huddle, because they have one of the most loaded defenses that we have seen in like a decade here in San Diego. But it's also at every level. Because at the front,
You have Trey up there.
well, so I want to know if Trey White is like, not that he's going to take a playoff or something. I want to know if he's like, all right, guys.
All right, Chris, you got this
I've
one.
dominated too much. I want to make sure you guys aren't bored.
Someone else make a play.
So no, I'm gonna allow. So I'm gonna gift one of you guys the chance to make a play, or if some of them are like, Trey, for God's sake, please let us have something. Stop getting to the backfield so quickly.
So instant. Like, you don't have to be the guy in that defense because there's guys everywhere.
Oh, less than 2 minutes. Welcome back, intern. I also, I think it's to me the defense is just, there's dudes that are like you said, there's dudes who are dudes that we don't even just know their name yet, and you're like, you'll probably have people being like, wow, oh my gosh, who's number so and so? He's like, yeah, he's a guy who's got 17 offers, and our intern would like everybody to know that she was the original one in on the Modern Day Catholic bandwagon, and that the rest of us are all just posers. And that ever since she met Coach Joyner last year, she has missed him dearly and hopefully and wants him back as soon as possible. Who else do we got? We talked enough about Modern Day because some of that we were veering into the front seven there, and I do apologize. I don't apologize for that at all, actually. But who else are some of the other guys that you're looking at this year on the defensive secondary, and or teams that you're just looking at in the defensive secondary, Colton?
I'm continuing with the theme. I said in another episode, I love Madison. I really am all in on Madison here. I think they're going to have an insane defense. Coach Jackson over there, he finds a way. He always finds a way.
He finds a way, although you just found out that he finds a way with an impressively underwhelming student body.
I would not know that. You would think with Madison, all the success, that they would have a huge student body, but less than, 800 kids you told me? Mm-hmm. I come from a graduating class of over 1,000. It's just insane that he works with that, and he's built one of the best programs in the county.
Wanted to throw out a couple more guys. We've talked about Underhill and Gino Trapasso and the offense
for
Rancho Buena Vista. I'll throw Ty Sully out there. He's going to be a senior this year. 57 tackles last year, I think, is what I see here.
How do you value it?
80 tackles last year for him. He's listed as a safety. Got to assume that that's some good downhill ball control, probably. Some of this is also, who's going to step up and who's going to replace some of these dudes.
New guys.
Always new guys, always exciting. And when you start seeing people graduate, you're like, whew, man, let's go. Who's going to fill in on that? On the, let's see, let's just apply the little metric here, see if we got sacks. Jaden as a defensive back with 16 sacks last year. That's stupid. That's insane. Man, this is probably the point where we just need to turn it over to the fans out there and just say, hey, hit us up with dudes that we need to take a look at. Because, we need to take a look at some people. And when a lot of this is graduation hitting teams hard.
Who's coming up? Who's playing their first year on varsity is going to show out.
Who's gonna be the breakout defensive
breakout DB of the year?
Breakout DB.
How do you gauge that though? Is it interceptions? Is it tackles? Is it just because we don't have stats to tell us what the receiver they're going against is doing?
I do want dropped interceptions.
That'd be a good stat.
We'll put that on the poll at SD Prep Insider. Should dropped interceptions become a leading stat across the county? So, quick intro, couple of names, couple of teams. Obviously, without diving into it. Cathedral, Carlsbad, those schools, everybody in the open, Mission Hills, they're all going to have good defensive backs. Lincoln, Modern Day. This is not meant to rank or put one above the other. This is just a dip in our toes in the water.
We live in a giant county. There's guys everywhere. We have no idea.
Well, and there's also opportunities for us to engage in the dialogue now and understand better, hey, who do we need to pay attention to? Because we want to get you guys maybe upset enough that you hit us up about who are some of the defensive backs. But you can find us at SD Prep Insider. I'm at Mr. CPIT. He's at Pro Colton Tull. Talk to you next time with... You want to go back to wide receivers?
Yeah, let's do wide receivers.
Do wide receivers next time, folks. Talk to you soon.